procure the paddy and they go for milling purpose. The milling recovery is about 60%. Whereas this purchaser, they want 63-64% recovery. That is not happening. So that difference is going to the farmers. So there, I think private agencies, something agencies required, interventions are required. Yesterday, our former Secretary Agriculture, Mr. General Srivastava, he was traveling with me. And very good, work is being done in Eastern Uttar Pradesh about the cluster approach. So what is required is, as point was made about input and output kind of. Technology is there. That should be, you are supported with the backward and forward linkage. And there, I think, a lot of scope for the, private agencies to come up and then really will be very effective. We are strong in technology as far as agriculture package of practices are concerned, where we want your support as ICT and IT, this kind of thing. Making decision support system and this thing, as you know about, point was made, we have different climatic situations, 600,000 villages, more than 600 dialects, so much of heterogeneity, tremendous challenges. In spite of that, we could have the record food production. In spite of that, we have food sufficiency. But let us come forward and ultimately benefit the farmers in terms of profitability. If we could give that profitability, many things we can achieve. That assurance to his farm produce. Again, secondary agriculture. Again, Dr. Ajit Maro, I was discussing that emphasis now in the 5-year plan. We are trying from the Krishi Vigyan Kendras point of view. Already some of the Krishi Vigyan Kendras, they are doing very good as far as value chain mode is concerned. At the grassroots level, whatever potential commodities are there. For example, our jackfruit, very neglected commodity. Nothing has been done as far as post harvest or processing is concerned. But in Kerala, our Pattanam Kitta KVK, they have come up with a very good protocol of processing of jackfruit, and they are now exporting. So this FPO license and this kind of thing, we have to make easier this protocol, to that at grassroots level, those formalities, how we can simplify, so that whatever raw material available at that level that can be processed, and young youth or women, they can be given some kind of employment for processing and value addition, and ultimately making examples of this kind of thing. So many things are there. At this point, I will stop here. There are many issues. There are technological issues that we will be discussing. Institutional issues are there, and community issues are there. So much. We have our stakeholders. So many players are there. How to bringing them on the one platform and trying to give solution to those issues. And as a point was made, KVK and Atma, KVK work in a frontline extension system mode, and Atma work in a field extension mode. So that we are trying, bringing them more and more convergence at the field level, but with your support, with your backstopping, definitely will make more effective and more potential system at the grassroots level. With this, once again, compliment Dr. Dileepkumar and KSIConnect and Infosys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kopate, for those wonderful inputs and insights. You mentioned about the Center of Excellence for ICT Innovations in Agriculture. Other than ICR and ICRISAT, Infosys is also a partner organization in this initiative. And you mentioned about different revolutions. I'm sure like bringing the integration between science, technology, and the value chain approaches, we can add the knowledge revolution also to that list.
Yeah.
Before I hand over the mic to Dr. Arvind Kumar, let me welcome Dr. Dinesh Tyagi, who is CEO of CSCs. Can you introduce yourself so we can move on to Dr. Arvind?
Sorry for being late. I just escaped from the airport. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm Dinesh Tyagi. I work for a company called CSC Governance Services India Limited. The company is promoted by Government of India, Ministry of Information Technology, and it is a company which facilitates the program of National E-Governance Plan, which is setting up 100,000 common service centers across the country, 1 in 6 villages. So we support all the partners who are implementing the program, including the state and the Government of India, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tyagi. Dr. Arvind Kumar, the floor is yours. And before that one, I just wanted to make an announcement. All these presentations are being recorded. If you have any reservations, please let us know. So whatever recorded so far, we will delete that one. Otherwise, we stop recording that one. Thank you.
I think this will work.
Oh yes.
So, good morning to all of you. I am very happy to be here on this important occasion where we are talking of a platform. And platform should be really a platform. Initially maybe a smaller platform, but ultimately more population is added, more engine bogies are added, platform may be bigger, platform may be wider. So I hope that in future this platform may be still bigger to take into its grip a large number of population and large segments. Thank you, Dr. Dileep, to have called us over here to share our views. I am very happy to see DG ICRISAT, whom we have been interacting quite often, and I know he is a person who is always talks about action and the strategies which can really meet the challenges which are going to be in coming days. With the involvement of people like Mr. Samson David from Infosys, DG Menace, Mr. B. Srinivas, my colleague Dr. K.D. Kokate, Dr. Goswami, Director North, Terry from University of Florida, and a number of leading personalities from University of Florida, and they are actively involved in this particular activity. Mr. Ajit Maru is well-known visionary and a person who always looks for many innovative activities. Malu and many colleagues from ICRISAT, from NAR, from different organizations, and ladies and gentlemen present over here. First of all, I would like to mention that this very important initiative. I will not like to talk much about the issues and concerns that are known by almost everyone. With the ever-growing population, with the degradation of bioresources, almost diminishing some of the resources, widening of the nutrient deficiencies, the water becoming a critical factor, population density is increasing, pressure on the land is increasing, and many other issues which now affect not only the population in India but globe as a whole. If we talk in the Indian context, you very well know that India feeds 16% of the global population, and with the 1.21 billion population, which is expected to grow even more, the country has enormous responsibility to update the knowledge, innovations, and a shift in the research and extension strategy in order to bridge the gap between the actual and potential productivity, and also with the changing food habits, which is again very important. The value addition to our produce is still very less. This again a processing sector which need to be really looked into, along with other ventures like horticulture or fisheries, dairy, and so on. In order to address all these issues, Indian Council of Agricultural Research has very well laid out the Vision 2030, and we are in the process of having Vision 2050. The Vision 2030 clearly states how we can harness the potential of our existing genetic resources, how we can harness the power of technology and synergize the different frontier areas with the innovations in ICT, GIS, GPS, and many other areas like this. This is the time when we need to synergize our efforts, and in this particular case, the component of ICT, which is really very important to take forward in a minimum period of time the right message to the masses, is really a very important activity and I think very well thought of mechanism. Management of natural resources, the conservation, again important area by way of integration of nutrient management practices, pest management practices, integrated water management practices, agriculture diversification, value addition, energy management. So again very important with the, you can say, the energy sector, the need for mechanization and putting more and more energy in the agriculture in order to take maximum benefit out of it. Management of biorisk and institutional policies. These are the certain, you can say, points which have been very well pointed out and listed in the ICR 2030 vision. Now, we look ahead, where we are today, what we need to do, particularly in order to bring out reforms in the higher agricultural education. If I talk about higher agricultural education in India, you would agree with me that agriculture itself, as of today, as far as agricultural education, is a bit neglected. Why I call neglected, I will just give you and cite some examples. In India, at present we have 621 agricultural universities. We have 44 central universities. We have around 32,000 colleges. And out of this, the population which is attracted towards higher education is 14.6 million in India. Out of 14.6 million population, still the percentage of population reaching for arts sector is 42%, to science stream 19.8%, the third is commerce and management, where it is 17.8%, the fourth is technological sector, engineering sector, where it is 11.2%. The next is your medical science, where it is around 5%. Then law 2.5%, and in agriculture it is only 0.55%. Contrary to the fact that 52% of the population is engaged in agriculture, it provides employment opportunity to 52% of the population. The agriculture is the core of the country, and only 0.55% of the youth, I would call, which opt for higher agricultural education, are attracted towards agriculture. Is it not a real paradox? The question is how we can attract more and more population, talented students, how we can take the advantage of ICT is a real task ahead. This needs to be looked into. Out of the 621 universities I talked in general, in agriculture we have including state agricultural universities, now 65 universities, which includes 5 deemed to be universities, 1 central universities, and 4 central universities having agriculture subjects. If we talk about percentage again, including agriculture and some of the universities which have been opened in veterinary sector or fishery sector, the percentage would seldom exceed more than 7%. 7% universities, and if we talk about total number of colleges constituent and the colleges which are attached in the form of affiliated college to the universities, the number becomes 426. If we take some of the traditional universities, number becomes 626 or so. Even if we take 626 or 630, whatever maybe, with the changing time, compared to 32,000, it's again a very minimal figure. We need to educate our masses. We need to give more and more attention to these youths who really want to opt for agriculture. Again, the scenario is where we have to train our youth to educate about the smallholder agriculture. India, is a country having a smallholder farmers. 66% of the farmers have less than 1 hectare and another 18% 2 hectares. More than 80% of the farmers or the land holdings are less than 2 hectares. How to reach large number of farming community is another task. And here is the importance of ICT and other innovative approaches. What we have suggested to bring the reform, because agriculture is a state subject under the entry 14, schedule 7 of the Constitution, and accordingly we have to see how best we can impress upon, how we can empower the large population with the innovations which are taking place in the field of agricultural sciences. We have thought and brought the National Agriculture Education Project to be supported by World Bank, which is about $250 million project, along with a number of initiatives which we have already planned for the 12th plan, which is already now operating, but formally it has to be approved maybe within a 6-month time. This initiative includes systemic reforms to have the governance and financial management systems in place, the e-connectivity, because a number of initiatives have been taken up under the National Agriculture Innovation Project by developing the e-modules for 7 disciplines and 426 courses, and this gives us a strength that how we can educate more and more students and how we can provide a interest and uniformity in course curriculum structure. Connectivity with the libraries, consortium on e-resources in agriculture, training our teachers how to have the smart classrooms, how they can use it. So not only smart classrooms, but smart teachers and smart institutions. These are the needs of the day. In order to have a global competitiveness, to bridge a gap in cutting edge areas, there is extreme need to have a faculty which need to be have proper interaction at various platforms, particularly at international level, and therefore a number of programs like dual degree program, networking of the universities like University of Florida and other universities, they are taking, quite a good interest. And we have been interacting with a number of colleagues and scientists across the globe. And I am very happy that at present we have the students from 24 countries coming to India, and a large initiative by launching in 2008 by Prime Minister of India, Indo-African program, and now Indo-Afghanistan program. This is taking a real headway. And the objective is not only to institutionalize but also to provide a competitiveness and educational reforms in the African continent. We are working closely, and India is the lead thematic partner as far as the Earth and Life Sciences Institute is concerned. We are going to establish the seed and soil testing laboratories, the farm science centers like Dr. Kukati was talking, and also the seed production center, and train large population so that the vast land, particularly in the African continent, is adequately and rightfully utilized and globe as a whole is benefited. I am happy that Africa has also been kept in this loop, India, Africa and US connectivity. I think this is very good initiative so that we can reach the masses and we can reach the population which really deserve much more attention than in previous years. Similarly, the Indo-Afghan cooperation and many other like ASEAN and South Asia, these are being taken up, and fortunately Education Division of Indian Council of Agriculture Research is taking a lot of initiative, and Indian Council of Agriculture Research is taking ahead all the agenda forward. So my friends, ultimately what we need, because we need to have a skill, we need to have a confidence, we need to have a, build up of the management skill, not only project management, but team building skill, communication skills, a number of skills, and this is again very important, which perhaps now is taking up, and our institutions, all agricultural universities, our objective is to have the quality reform, quality assurance in place, and therefore not only PAB cell, but our intention in 12th plan to have the quality assurance cell in each and every university, and better connectivity through video conferencing and through e-connectivity, which I have already talked about, digitalization of the library, digitalization of the thesis, many other things are going up so that we can reach the masses. But ultimately we need how we can reach to different stakeholders who are really need education. Because on one hand, we know that our graduates and postgraduates, but definitely they are not going to serve the rural population. We need to educate real technicians, real people who can go to the farmers, who can go to the different stakeholders and can really work for the upliftment of the rural agriculture. So what we really need, I will sum up with the word shelter. We need shelter, S-H-E-L-T-E-R. S means a structured course curriculum, because until we have a structured course curriculum for different stakeholders, and we need a brand A school, we cannot function in that way. Then H stands, as you know, the human resource development, which is the need of the hour, which is not happening so widely as it should happen, and the capacity building program, the quality assurance. Therefore, this is a very important activity which needs to be taken up vigorously. E, empowerment of the educational institutions, functional and financial autonomy, how we can have the e-connectivity, how we can have FMS in place, how we can have e-governance. All these issues are envisaged to be taken up in the 12th plan. L stands for linkages and partnerships across the globe, how we can have the more partners from the different sectors, as I have told you, using the benefit of certain technology like ICT or GIS or GPS or many other areas, cutting edge areas, how we can include the PPP mode of culture. The technology, teaching technology innovations, success stories, and building up E again stands for entrepreneurship and skill development, demand-driven agriculture education. Education should be really demand-driven. For whom? What is the need assessment of the population? In what shape they really require education? That is again a big criteria, and the need assessment has been done by NARP and the National Institute for, you can say, Human Resource Development. They have taken up the survey, and it has been really pointed out that we are far short of our graduates and postgraduates in agriculture. In veterinary sector, again there is a huge shortage. So we need to almost double it, but not doubling by quantity. We need to have a quality in place, and to build up that quality, perhaps we have to take many innovative measures. The modules, the capsules for different stakeholders are to be prepared and are to be accordingly launched and accordingly taken up to different end users. Then R is research strengthening building. Without a building up research strength of a particular institution, you cannot take up a good thinking. So building up of the research institution, application of new tools and technology is again the need of the hour. And if we take the center, if we take such new approaches, and if we take such innovative measures far and wide, capitalize them, compile them, and take up to the masses, particularly the rural masses, there would be definitely, with the innovations taking place, particularly in ICT sector, as it was being talked about, mobile technology and so on, we can perhaps take much more in the coming days, and we can perhaps be able to feed our growing population, which is ever growing, and not only the green revolution, we would certainly lead to our green revolution. With these words, I thank you very much, and thank you, ICRISAT, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Dileepkumar, for introducing us all these wonderful new initiatives. Now, I would like to request Dr. A. Krishna Kumar to say his perspectives and views before we hear from Savi. Please, Dr. A.
Dr. William Dutt, DG ICRISAT, dignitaries on the dais, and friends. I thought I had no role to play to sit there and then later participate in the discussions, but then Dilip has forced me to be here. I was actually, my main intention of coming here was to learn from everybody, because I'm from IL&FS, Infrastructure Leasing and Financial Services. Many of you may not be knowing about it, because it's not too much involved in agriculture. Only during the last 7 years, we entered the agri rural business livelihood and now into Africa initiatives. IL&FS is one of the pioneers of pioneers of public-private partnership in the country. It started in 1987. And we are one of the pioneers in toll road projects, bridges, power projects, and so on, and financial services and so on. And Mr. Dinesh Tyagi also had a short stint with IL&FS when he was heading the CSC. IL&FS used to innovate projects, and some of them were a bit ahead of time. Very frankly speaking, when we started CSC, Common Service and the mandate wasn't IL&FS to implement 100,000 CSCs in the country. And when the viability of these CSCs came to be pushed into a certain extent, there were issues, of course, but we took the plunge. Similarly, we are taking plunge in some other initiative along with Infosys as well as ICRISAT. Now, what we have learned from what we have heard is very vital points which affect agriculture. I am actually I started my career as a soil scientist, an agricultural scientist. Later, deserted or rather diversified myself to agricultural extension. I was heading one of the finest extension systems in the country in the rubber board. I was handling about 1 million small and marginal farmers and taking care of the extension of the rural system. Why I say rubber? It is one crop where we have the highest productivity in the world, which has been consistent for the last, I think, more than 10-12 years, and very excellent institutional mechanism which could be adopted, customized to the general agricultural situations, because that is about at least 10-15 years ahead of other extension systems. So, and then later joined IL&FS, we started why we started this the agriculture. One thing we thought was infrastructure is the missing link. When we started infrastructure, then a lot of other things started coming, skill development, quality education, then it went down to the institutional mechanism. So we are one of the pioneers again in cluster development. Actually, the company which I represent, IL&FS clusters, where we bring people together, give them the critical mass, and also give all kinds of technology backup, financial muscle, institution transfer. Now, how this can be leveraged? Now, when we again started the Mega Food Park, we are working as program management agency to federal government and many state governments. Then we started this Mega Food Park and things like these initiatives, cold chains and so on. One major issue which we are confronting is where is the technology, how to reach out to the farmer. Even the Mega Food Park, the processing itself is an issue. We know 30% of our vegetables and fruits are wasted to a certain extent if we take on an average. If you analyze the value chain. And only just about 2% is also value added in vegetables and fruits. Even total processing of India is just around 6 to 8%. That is the total value addition taking place. Value addition in real terms, in perishables. Now, what is the problem? The processors, even today we import tomato ketchup from tomato pulp from China and other countries. We get most of the basic intermediate raw material from other countries. Why is it so when country has such potential? Then we found the farmers are not equipped to orient towards the market, rather the demand-driven agriculture which was mentioned here. Actually, during the last 3-4 addresses I have seen, everything what is required to take the country to at least 400 million tons has been told here. But the crux is, how are we going to implement it? Number one, which has already been raised by the DG manager when he addressed the crux. We know all ideas, we have a lot of good brains. But how to put these brains together and implement these things? Implementation is the weakest thing. That is number one. But I also don't subscribe that we have the best of technologies for everything. For example, if it were so, we would have been lying in the middle of the list of countries in terms of productivity for most of the crops. So there is actually because India is a diversified country, we have got wide-ranging agroclimatic situations. So we need actually customized solutions to the farmers. One, so the challenge is the reach, how to take the technology to the farmer, number one. So the first level, the broad spectrum antibiotics and the paracetamol, as we say in medical parlance, that is one thing which should be made available. Where we have not reached that, 50% of the farmers are untouched, already. And second is, even the other 50% which is having access to technology, can you raise the productivity to a level where farming becomes more lucrative? Because today farming is if you take many crops other than the value or high value crops, many crops have issues of sustainability, issues of financial viability, the investment is coming less. So in that context, can we help them to go up the value chain in terms of processing, in terms of improving the productivity so that its net farm returns improve. So we need customized solutions. So with the ICT available, with a lot of initiatives happening in the country and everywhere else, what we are trying at our attempt is to bring all these things together and also provide and enable the farmer to have some kind of customized solution, not only in terms of productivity, but in terms of marketing, in terms of export, import, and also access to inputs, access to technology, and so on. So how can we take them to that level? So there are a lot of initiatives which are happening in the government of India. In the 12th Five-Year Plan, I was also a member of the working group, so we have a lot of initiatives have been set up. But here again, the challenge is going to be, like in other plans also, there is likelihood of it happening in islands. Sporadic things are happening. How to bring the sporadic things, sporadic initiatives onto a single platform and take to the farmer through an appropriate institutional mechanism. That's where agencies like IL&FS can play a role, that we can customize that, we can actually improve the linkage, connectivity and so on. And we have also experience of other infrastructure solutions which may contribute to taking out the technology to a large number of farmers in due course. And we are partnering with some of the agencies, like of course Infosys, the lead partner in information technology. Then we have ICRISAT with wonderful global presence and vast experience. And also we have of course the commerce and also with our linkage and infrastructure experience, and with of course some kind of financial potential also. So all these put together, can we come out with something which can help the farmer in the long run, for which actually we need inputs from all concerned. There is no single source from where we can get all these inputs. I think there are a lot of good things are happening. Like I had an opportunity to see ESAGU some 7 years ago. I thought it may not last, but now I'm extremely happy to see Krishna Reddy here and the way they were doing. 7 years ago they made a beginning, which I think now we are unable to scale up to a larger scale. Why we could not scale up to a larger level? And why we could not go one step ahead? As I said, every farm is different. In agriculture, the challenge is we cannot have uniform solutions. If you profile the yield in a particular village, you could see double, at least 50% variation in yield between different plots. How can we address this? So we need solutions for different target groups. So what we are trying to come out with is a product which may address at least the needs of a large number of farming community, which can help India to attain the evergreen revolution and take Indian agriculture to a much higher level. This is what I want to share. So basically, our intention is we need actually help from everybody, inputs from everybody, and then we will work as a team. We will work in collaboration, and then try to develop something. After this end of this conference, I think we'll come out with some inputs which can lead us to that kind of a product being developed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. A.K. Without taking much time, I would like to invite Karimal from Dean University of Florida. Kari, please.
Loading some slides, but I would like to first say thank you very much to the organizers for the invitation, and it's quite an honor to be here among my colleagues and to talk about such an important topic. And what I'd like to do this morning is just share a little bit about our university and the college that I run. And let's hope that the slides can come up. If not, then we won't have pictures, we'll just have me. But let's see. There we go. I have to ask for the next slide. So the University of Florida is one of the United States' 1862 land-grant campuses, one of the original campuses that was created as a result of the Morrill Act, which started the entire land-grant movement. This year is the 150th anniversary of the signing of that act. It's, as far as I know, the only aspect of American higher education that has ever been duplicated anywhere else. It's something that we are quite proud of. The campus itself has approximately 50,000 students. It's one of the larger major research institutions in the country. You can go to the next slide. It's also one of only 6 comprehensive land-grant schools, and when we say comprehensive in the United States, that means it's one of the only ones that has full colleges of medicine, veterinary medicine, pharmacy, dentistry, law, business, education, liberal arts, as well as agriculture and life sciences. And there are only 6 in the United States, and the University of Florida is one of those. Our land-grant mission at the University of Florida, unlike some of the other campuses in the country, is held within the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, or IFAS. It's fully a third of the entire campus. IFAS is the typical three-part land-grant mission with research, teaching, and extension. I've just drawn a schematic showing the overlap among these. We've been trying very hard in the last year or so to increase our interactions among teaching and extension, as well as research and teaching and research and extension. So we've been trying to better integrate even within our own campus. Next slide. IFES itself, the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, is notable for several things. First of all, it's large size, so we have roughly 800 faculty, including our extension faculty, in all 67 of the counties in the state of Florida. It's also notable for its quality, the quality of our programs, exceptional productivity, and awards that our faculty win. There was roughly last year 3 papers published per person per day, which is very, very high productivity. And we have 2 National Academy of Science members, which is an extremely high honor in the United States. The scope of IFES, we have pretty much every area in food, environment, and agriculture. So we have tremendous opportunities because of the breadth and the range of the programs. And then the importance of simply the state of Florida, the latitudinal band that it occupies is very similar to many areas of the world where we have some of our most important food and environmental issues, and so we have relevance for global food and environment and health issues. And right now we're working within IFES to build our capacity for research and extension in food safety and security. It's an area that we have a lot of opportunity in, and we're moving further in that direction. So then within the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences is the academic arm of IFES. And so I'll talk a little bit about our college. Go to the next slide. There's a bunch of words here, but I'm happy to share the PowerPoints with anyone that would like to keep them. It is the 3rd largest college at the university. It's among the top 5 largest colleges of agriculture in the United States. So we have a very good, strong college of roughly 4,000 undergraduates and 1,200 graduate students. We also have a very large scope or breadth with 21 undergraduate majors and 22 graduate programs. And some of our departments are very top in the United States, horticulture and agricultural education and communication especially. We have study abroad programs to 13 different countries in 5 continents, and increasing that exchange of our students to other areas in the world is something that's important to us. We want to ensure that our students increase their level of global awareness. Many American students never go outside of the country, and that's not an okay thing as far as I'm concerned. We have a broad range of students from 89 different countries, 47 states, and then the District of Columbia, Washington. And in our college, we're very proud of the fact that our teachers are very high quality. We've won more national awards than any other agriculture college in the country. So we've heard a lot about so far today, and we know there's an issue. The world is changing. The amount of information in it is increasing rapidly every day. An overarching goal that we have is to train students for the next century, not just this century, but really to be thinking what's coming down in the future, and how can we increase our ability to train the next leaders and the next thinkers and the next problem solvers. Students need to be able to handle unstructured problems, not just problems in a book that have an easy solution, but things that we really have to wrestle with if we're going to keep the human species alive on this planet. And it really comes down to that. That's not an exaggeration. We've got to have the students be able to work more effectively as part of a team, not just on their own. They need to be able to have not just literacy within a discipline and be able to spit out vocabulary, but they also have to have what's called professional agency. They need to be able to get things done, not just take tests. And they need to be globally aware and flexible in their thinking. So these are some of the challenges we're facing in trying to train our next generation of students to be leaders and thinkers and problem solvers. And as far as what it will take, we're really working very hard in our college to think about how do we produce a different kind of teacher and a different approach to education. I think of it as, we just heard customized and we heard individualized, and it's how do we help customize and individualize the education for our students, because they are not just pieces in a machine. So we need to provide for the development of our faculty so that our faculty are also globally aware. Again, in the United States, many of our faculty have never been outside of the country, and this is a deficiency, I think. We need to pay attention to the preparation of our future faculty members. Our graduate students need to be prepared as well for research and extension and the education mission that they will fulfill. We need to think about new models of education that leverage the technology and challenge our students in real-world ways. Again, it's not about solving problems that come out of a book, but it's about figuring out how do we solve real problems. And there's no reason why younger students can't work on those problems as well. I will probably talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, but there's a handout outside, I believe, about a project we're working on called the Challenge 2050 project. And it's called challenge-based learning. And it means giving the students a problem to solve and letting them pull the information and pull the solutions that they need in order to figure out how to solve it. It's a new way of looking at undergraduate education. And then, of course, we need to build partnerships outside of our traditional or provincial academic realms. And again, that is hopefully what we'll be able to accomplish or start working toward here in the next 2 days. I think we'll hear more about these in the next 2 days. I think that's my main point. So is there one more slide? Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, so just a thank you, and I look forward to having conversations with everyone in the next couple of days.
Thank you, Terry. We have Terry's presentation tomorrow morning. She's going to talk about the International Education Center and also the modern technology applications in education. Now, shall we have Dr. Radhika?
Thank you, Dilip, Dr. William Dar, and colleagues. I'm very happy to be here today. For a person who was almost locked out when I said ICTs would be developing at what we now see in India in the early 1980s, this certainly gives me, should we say, pride in what many of us here, I know, have started. Dr. Sharma is there, Sandhya is there, and I'm really happy to be here today. And on behalf of GFAR also, just now I received a message from Dr. Mark Holderness, the Executive Secretary, who has welcomed this initiative, and I think it's a very important issue. And he has said that he hopes that this would be a very useful meeting in pursuit of the GFAR and GCARD objectives. So, first of all, let me explain what the Global Forum on Agricultural Research is to many of you who may not be really aware of the Global Forum, which we mostly call as GFAR. GFAR is a multi-stakeholder, neutral, open, global, too many adjectives, but platform for dialogue on critical issues related to agricultural research for development. We facilitate and promote collective actions through collaboration and partnerships globally. And we are also looking at what we call as the assessment of these actions. We have had many activities. ICT in agriculture was among the first started in GFAR in 1999 when it was, GFAR itself was incepted. It was started in 1998. GFAR is hosted by FAO and EFAT and is located, the secretariat is located in the FAO building in Rome, Italy, from where I work. Now, GFAR, one of the major activities GFAR has been involved in the last 4 years has been in the transformation of agricultural research systems in view of all the challenges that have been put here since morning. And this transformation is a 6-year cycle, which we call as the Global Conference on Agricultural Research for Development. But it's not a conference, as I said, it's a process of 6 years in which we are trying to transform agricultural research systems and assess movements. And as has been mentioned, just last month we had the global conference in Uruguay, which is a 2-year process. And it is of importance to note that both the issues that are being discussed in this global consultation, I'm sorry, I was thinking of this microphone.
Because your 3G connectivity is conflicting with the mic, I think so.
Okay, I'll hand over my 3G connectivity to you.
And even the tablet, I think so.
Oh, okay, I can hand that over. Look, he's taking, this is the, I've been,
Nice to be posted.
no, not only that, but he's entitled to take anything from me. So let me say that the Global Conference on Agriculture Research for Development had these 2 major themes, and we almost spent 1/3 of the sessions on these 2 key areas. We are, as we see, facing what I term as taking the term from the fiscal cliff of the United States of America. I call it as a capacity cliff that we are facing in agriculture, and more so in agriculture research and development. But let me come down to what we are really having a problem. Can I have the next slide, please? What are those lessons that we have learned? Because in any global consultation of this nature, we must build on what we have learned. We do not need to start afresh. And what we have learned is that the need for increased and improved investment in ICM. Because ICM forms the basis for what I call as a very huge sunrise activity, business activity. Why is it sunrise? Because if you look at, while most of us argue that agricultural GDP in all countries are falling down, agribusiness contributions to the economy are on the rise. Even today, in a country like France, 42% of the GDP is contributed by agriculture. And in fact, when you add manufacturing and other service sectors that are going to come into, because the distinction between agriculture and other sectors is slowly dissolving itself. So what we are now seeing is a very major growth in what I call as agricultural services, in which agricultural knowledge services is going to be very big. And within that, we have, as I say, is a list here, investments needed in infrastructure capacity, coordination, effective use of information. All these issues have been discussed. But what is going to happen is that there are 2 major sectors. For example, in India, we have never been considering the private sector and the community sector's involvement. I'm very happy to see that in the last 4 or 5 years, the private sector, including my major corporate bodies like Infosys, is taking interest in this. As I was saying to the Vice President of Infosys, sometimes agricultural knowledge services could be a much more larger issue than even the banking sector. Then we are looking at, we have also seen people mention the need for strengthening institutional frameworks, policies, rules and regulations, strategies, organizational structures, work processes. We have to go down to the organization level, at the structure and work process level, to see what we all envisage happening and why doesn't it happen. In fact, we are getting very mixed signals, say at the global level. We have had 2 major institutions. One of them has dissolved its coordination system in information management. That's when I talk of agricultural development and agricultural research. Another major system has just appointed its head of information. The signals being sent out are very mixed. Even in the same, in the country that we are in India, we have really dissolved one of the largest systems that we were trying to build in the 1990s, the agriculture research information services and systems. We have just let them go away. Now how are we going to manage information flows in organizations if we just do not have coordination within the organization itself? It's a major issue. These organizations have only one product that they are generating, and that's information. And if you are not going to manage your own information, your own product, I'm very sometimes disappointed that those coordination systems, those systems that would bring everything together, look at information flows, are being allowed to go down. And I think we need to really discuss these issues also when we are discussing innovative platforms. Can I have the next slide? Another very important issue that I'm facing at this point in time is we are changing ICTs every 6 months, 2 years. Almost a new technology comes in 2 years. Mobile, tablets. We talk a lot about things. How are our institutions and organizations keeping up with the associated skills and capacities that are needed? We are just, I'm playing catch up. The amount of investments we are trying to do in just trying to advocate and promote the use of this technology, we are just not able to keep up with that. Look at the type of issues that come with smartphones. Many of us say we will use tablets, smartphones, computers. The form factor is different, the technologies are different. Look at the type of investments that would be needed to produce the content for this. So we really need to become innovative technology-wise. We need to be innovative in the capacity development issues that come with new technologies. We now need to involve the user community. A lot of times I hear, oh, we should have demand-driven. But what is demand-driven? If you don't involve the communities who are going to use the information. And the user community is just not the farmers, as we have learned now. We will have small and medium enterprises, we will have those who are involved in the supply side of it, the input supply side of it, as well as the output side of it, the market side of it, the value addition side of it, and in fact the consumers. So we do have to have a look. I think sometimes we are very limited by saying that the farmer is the consumer of all agricultural information. I'm sorry to say I don't agree now with this. Can I have the next one? Now, we also learned that bringing use of digital information is a very complex complex activity. We cannot continue to say that okay, this is a what I call as a TNV pamphlet that was developed say in the 1970s and 80s. We are really having to customize information to individual users who have their own set of problems, very individual problems. We have to have a multiple of actors acting so that information is delivered. We now need investments and participation of the public, private, and community sector, because a large part of the information that will be generated will be by the community sector. In fact, a long time ago, the term prosumer came about when it came to information, and this is the type of people whom we will have to tackle with. Why can't Google Maps type of activities be used to plan and strategize production and marketing in a country like India? And this is something which we must look at. Well, one of the core issues I find is that we are too focused sometimes on developing platforms. But we are not focused on seeing that these platforms form a part of what we call as a stewardship approach of the organizations who are developing these platforms. And what we now need is not only innovative platforms, but we need platforms who have innovative stewardship, who are able to bring in, as we are talking about, partnerships. And building partnerships between the sectors like private sector and the community sector is not an easy task for the public sector. Many times we see that the public sector abdicates its role. And this is not only in India, as I see from the many television programs that are coming today and the type of issues that are being discussed. It's all over the world. The abdication of the public sector and the government in these roles can be a cause of alarm. And this cannot be tackled by the middle management that we have in these groups. We now need to bring in people who can influence at a very senior level, at a very high level, at the ministerial level, at the prime ministerial level, and even at the champions at global level. That there is a major danger that there is an abdication of the public sector's role, and especially in countries like India, which have got a large number of populations that still depend on agriculture. Can I have the next slide? So we must now recognize that we have a diverse level of information and knowledge intermediaries. We have the community sector, which is now becoming a major player as information and knowledge intermediaries. And how do we build the capacities of these intermediaries is a very major issue for us. And I'm sure Dr. Kumar has been discussing this. And it's a challenge that we now need to take up. Also, we must recognize that the platform of information platforms, as we are planning to discuss, is primarily about enhancing social capital. And how do we build this social capital? And there are political implications, there are economic implications, there are social implications of building up this social capital. And I find it very strange, many a times, that research systems, including the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, does not consider research in these issues as an important area in which to develop more sustainable and useful platforms.